Okay. So when he facilitated that attack, those people had to run, and they left over $50 billion worth of equipment over there. And they never knew that all of that stuff was facilitated by a spirit. Most people don't even believe in this stuff. But that don't mean it's not true. You know, if a person didn't believe that the sun, well, this is a prime example. I would ask people what color is the sun. Most people would say yellow. I think they believe the sun is yellow, or they think the sun is yellow because they believe it. But all you have to do, if you want to know what color the sun is just look at the snow. If the sun was yellow, the snow would be yellow, but the snow is white. That means the sun is white. That means a lot of people have been believing the wrong thing about the sun for years, decades, maybe even centuries. Holy cow, the thing is chopping all up. So this is why we have to study. You know, most people, they'll try to separate, well, you can separate science from religion. Like those are two different categories, science, religion. But when you actually begin to really, really study the Bible and what it's really saying, you'll notice that the Bible is about life. It's not a book of religion. You know, the Bible contains examples, laws, and practices that shows that everything aligns up with the laws of science. Like the law of polarity. The law of polarity says everything has two sides. There are total polar opposites. And you see that in the earth. On day one, the earth is created. And the night and the day were divided. Half the world is always lit, half the world is always not lit. There's a 12-hour difference between the lit side of the world and the dark side of the world, which makes up 24 hours. There are 12 months in a calendar. There are 12 eggs in a dozen, but that's something else, okay. You got 12 disciples, 12 tribes of Israel, 24 elders. Jesus got lost when he was 12. What am I getting at here? 12 is a significant number. It is the number of perfect government. That's why when Jesus said, when Peter cut the guy's ear off, and he said, Peter, put your sword away. Don't you know that I could call 12 leagues to come and defend me? But if I do that, how does the scriptures get fulfilled? So he knew that he had to fulfill the scriptures. So that was the reason that he had to die. Okay, that's something else that I can talk about right now, and try to keep it quick because I don't want the video to be too long. That he had to die. He had to come to die. Why? Because you got two times it was shown a picture of what he would come and do. When the first Adam messed up in the garden and did what God told him not to do, then there was a separation between God and man at that time. God removed the spirit from Adam and Eve, and they got thrown out of the garden right after he made a plan to fix what Adam broke. He said that I will put enmity between you and the woman, between her seed and your seed. So we understand that the way that you make a baby, did I get that right? Okay, the way you make a baby, more that it shall bruise your head and y'all shall bruise his heel. So this is referring to a virgin birth. How do we know that? Because women do not have seeds. In order for a woman to have a baby, she has an egg. She has to receive a seed from a man. It takes the union of a man and a woman to make a baby. So it took a few hundred years, but people began to find out that this was referring to a virgin birth. So that's the reason why there were a lot of virgin birth religions that rose up all of a sudden to to try to make people think that the prophecy had come to pass. That's why there were a whole lot of virgin births that were already in existence before the real fulfillment of that prophecy came. So that's him. And when God kicked Adam and Eve out of the garden, what did he do? Adam and Eve tried to cover up themselves with fig leaves, which is a picture of them trying to hide and fix their own sin, or hide their sin from them. But what he did was he killed an animal, and then he coated them in the skins of an animal. And for that reason, they were able to walk out the garden. Now, why did he do that? Because they were covered in the blood of an animal. And later on, when Moses comes, Moses tells them that they have to sacrifice a lamb and put the lamb's blood on the post of the door and on the door. And when God comes through and he sees the blood on their house, he would pass over them and they would miss the judgment of death. And they had to keep that holy day called the Passover every year. And when Jesus got lost, they were out looking at the slaughtering of the lamb, which represents the Passover, because the blood covering represents your sin is covered. And so Jesus knew that he was going to be that human Passover lamb, because even though the blood from the lamb would cover their sins, it didn't wash their sins away. Only the blood of a human lamb could wash away their sins. And so that was the reason that Jesus had to come to earth in a human body to provide a body for that sacrifice. He was just being the human Passover lamb. That's why he was referred to as the Lamb of God who take away the sins of the world. Okay. So I'm going to stop there. Hopefully I can fit all of this in one video, because they only give me so many minutes to load up when I first started. JT.